I am incredibly excited to have partnered with Bellesa for an amazing giveaway. More on that in a minute. Today we are picking up on the newest season of Welcome to Plathville, Season 6. If you haven't watched Seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Parts 1 and 2 of Season 6, feel free to go watch those videos first. Everything is included in the playlist. Hi, I'm Danny, and you can normally find me on this channel diving into TLC shows, Christian fundamentalism, and exposing family vloggers. If that sounds like something you're into, I'm excited to have you around. Episode 6 picks up with Micah and his friend Will in Florida cleaning off Micah's truck.
Most of my family are going to run a Spartan race tomorrow, so we're driving to Jacksonville, Florida.
And Micah explains what a Spartan race is.
5K race through the mud with obstacles. It's a very dirty, grimy race.
Doing a Spartan race was absolutely Barry's idea, and most of the family is doing it. Micah says goodbye to his girlfriend, and off he goes with Will.
I love you.
Love you too. See you soon.
So, this is just my pet peeve, but I do not like when people don't say I when they say love you. It feels so impersonal to me. But I know something that's exactly the opposite of impersonal, and that brings me to today's sponsor. All right, we all know summer is coming to an end, and autumn is just around the corner. This means the weather is about to get a lot colder. If you're anything like me, all you want to do is snuggle up in bed. So why not try something that'll keep you extra cozy? And that's why today, my friends at Bellesa and I are literally sending out free, yes, free vibrators or gift cards for vibrators for every single person that signs up to my giveaway. Check out the link in my description. If you're unfamiliar, Bellesa Boutique is a bi-woman company that empowers its community to explore, embrace, and celebrate their sexuality unapologetically. How could you not love and celebrate that? Who doesn't love a cozy, relaxing evening full of pleasure and intimacy? Well, Bellesa is your ultimate destination for luxurious and stylish pleasure products designed to enhance those exact moments. All of Bellesa's products are made from premium quality silicone. Many are waterproof and are USB rechargeable. Now, I first heard of Bellesa in January when Plathville's own Olivia Marie Plath shared a photo holding Bellesa's Air Vibe. Not only are the cases for the products adorable, but their packages are incredibly discreet as everything is shipped in a plain brown box and marked from a discreet shipping company. Sign up by clicking the first link in my description to receive your free vibrator or gift card. Thank you, Bellesa, for all you do to close the pleasure gap. Speaking of Olivia, let's catch up with her in LA. She's clearly embracing the LA culture because she is going to a Pilates workout with a new friend named Lily.
Every young woman I talk to is like, oh, I do Pilates. And I was very skeptical about what Pilates would do for me.
I've done Pilates a few times, and let me just say, it's not easy. Sometimes I think it's seen as a girly activity, which is implied to be weaker and easier. But I've struggled through every class I've taken. In an interview, Olivia drops that Ethan and her signed the divorce papers a couple of months ago.
I thought getting divorced that I would feel more shame than I do.
So Olivia is officially in her post-divorce, newly single phase, and I am ecstatic for her. She now gets to learn how to date the way I would assume most Americans do. She is free to discover herself, try new things, and be without Ethan's judgment. And Ethan can do all of that too. Hopefully this chapter will allow both of them to become better people for themselves and the other people they want in their lives. Anyways, Olivia is working out her core right now.
I guess I can work on engaging it because it's probably the only thing that I'll be engaging anytime soon.
Period. In crazy news, Olivia and Lily met on a flight from Minneapolis to LA, as Lily is from Minnesota, and obviously that's where Olivia just moved from. They then discovered they lived pretty close to one another in LA and have been friends since. Olivia describes her as the kind of friend that she wanted to have when Ethan and her were still married, and she had no idea who to talk to or about what. I'm happy Olivia now has a relationship like that.
One of the things that kind of drew me to Olivia initially was her honesty and just kind of the frankness in which she spoke.
Some people really hate Olivia for how opinionated she is, but I'll always admire it. Sometimes I think viewers of my video think that I idolize Olivia or see her as someone who can do no wrong, but that just isn't true. I see myself in her and the ways that our journeys have overlapped, and I'm thankful she has decided to do it so publicly as I learn from my mistakes and hers year after year. I definitely don't believe she gets the credit for how strong she has been, but obviously many viewers disagree with me. After the Pilates class, Olivia and Lily sat down for some tea, and Olivia explained how signing the divorce papers went. Ethan attempted to have another conversation, but Olivia didn't want another heated and emotional conversation, so she asked him to write a letter of everything he wants to say.
And he did. He wrote me a long letter and gave it to me and then signed the papers, so.
Olivia also shares that she found a letter from when they temporarily split years before and realized it paralleled the new letter.
There's no change.
About like taking you for granted and like, I wish I hadn't treated you this way.
And Lily makes a great point.
3 years ago, the same things being said.
Yeah.
If you can't realize it over 3 years, when are you going to realize it?
And although Ethan may never realize just how bad of a match he and Olivia were, I'm glad Olivia gave him the opportunity to speak his mind in the letter and hopefully get closer to having some closure. It will probably take Ethan a while to get over the idea of Olivia he once had and let go of the idealistic life he wanted with her. But Olivia wishes him the best, and I think most viewers do too. Ethan is a product of the environment he grew up in. He's not evil, he's lost. Olivia started dating once she made it to LA and talks about being 25 and single.
I'm gonna have a hoe phase.
Everyone needs a good hoe phase.
I didn't hoe very well.
That's okay.
And Olivia shares her take on the word hoe.
This is my body, and I get to decide if I want to go on dates, if I want to spend the night, if I want to be intimate with somebody. Like, that's all my choice.
I will support that message every time. Everyone should have a say in what they do with their body and who they spend their time with. I'll always say, safe sex is good sex. And now we go to Jacksonville to catch up with the family before the Spartan race. Weirdly enough, outside of their normal gym routines, it doesn't seem like anyone actually prepared for this 5K.
My thigh is really tight.
Everyone except Kim, Ethan, and the oldest daughter, Hosanna, are there. Micah doesn't seem to really want to do the race, though.
You getting ready?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it.
He seems to already be coming up with excuses.
Didn't get a thorough night of sleep last night.
Isaac isn't prepared either.
I forgot everything, any apparel items that I would need for the race.
His excuse is that he helped Mariah pack and forgot to pack for himself. I'm not sure why this seems so disorganized, but I guess that's how the Plaths operate. But the boys are still confident they'll do the best.
I've got my money on either me or Micah.
Well, maybe disorganized isn't how all of the Plaths operate. Barry is in charge of the girls, and he seems less happy about how long everyone is taking.
Because I'm a punctual guy.
Mercy, is this yours?
Part of my duty is to manage the herd.
Surprisingly, Lydia seems to be the most experienced in Spartan races. I say it's surprising because she's one of the few Plath members we haven't seen long gym footage of.
It's gonna be super fun. I've ran 2 before. No one else has.
Yeah, almost no one is prepared.
I only really practiced like one day.
But she's confident.
I think it's gonna be not as hard as people make it out to be.
There's no way that doesn't age horribly, but the family decides to run it as a family and not separately.
There's no way I'm gonna run with everyone. We're gonna be going way too slow if we try to stay with Mariah.
Okay, never mind. Micah's not planning on being a team player.
I know that they say you're supposed to stick with your group of people and help them out, but I don't really see that being a race then.
And Isaac has the same mindset as Micah. Hopefully they at least communicated that to everyone.
Everybody's on the same wavelength?
Oh, I guess not. We'll see how this race goes. But for now, let's check in on Ethan at a gym in Minnesota. He's talking about signing the divorce papers and how difficult it was for him.
On the bright side, I'm glad that I was able to settle my divorce pretty quickly.
Ethan is working out with a friend he made right when he arrived in Minnesota, Andreas.
I would say Andreas is my closest friend that I have up here.
I'm happy to see Ethan has a friend through all of this too.
And I'm just happy I could be here for him and help him out any way I can.
They start talking about getting Ethan out to restaurants and maybe karaoke.
I've never done karaoke. I've always wanted to. I think I'd be good at it.
Ethan talks about how he doesn't know how to flirt, but that he also seems to completely miss when a girl flirts with him.
I don't know. It's like a curse, I think.
It's not unknown that Ethan is awkward, but he agrees to go line dancing with Andreas and thinks he'll be able to learn from him. He said he's going to watch to see what he does.
Treating her and laying it on thick and stuff and be like, oh, yeah, there he goes. There's some more BS.
Then Ethan says, completely out of the blue, that he has been working on writing a rap song.
Looking for the big E. Or the big D. They won't get me. I'm Big E. So, just like...
That was incredibly unexpected. What an interesting guy. And now, back to the Spartan race. The race begins, and Isaac and Micah easily take the lead of the whole thing.
We look around, is no one.
Amber is third in the family lineup. Barry is fourth.
But, you know, I'm just a little concerned that I'm just going to get out of breath.
And Mariah and Lydia are sticking together for fifth and sixth.
I hate these buckets. I hate them.
Isaac ends up way in front of Micah, but he accidentally missed an obstacle where he had to throw a spear at a target. So technically, Micah is in first. I feel bad because Isaac is killing it, and being younger than Micah by 5 years, I know he feels good finally outrunning his brother.
So it would be good to actually finally beat them in something big.
Meanwhile, Mariah was dead set on not having to do 30 burpees, so she impressively climbed a rope. Unfortunately, Lydia couldn't find the energy for the last push to the bell.
You are almost there, Olivia. You are, no.
But I don't blame her for getting down.
Yeah, rope burn.
And Isaac crosses the finish line in 19th place out of 1,182 people with a time of 39 minutes. He literally did an obstacle course 5K at about the same pace as I can do a normal 5K. Micah only took 1 minute and 40 seconds longer. However, remember, he did all of the obstacles, and he doesn't waste a second before telling Isaac. Isaac's reply kind of made me sad, though.
Micah, please don't try to steal my glory because I missed that once.
I'm gonna say what I say.
It only being 100-second different makes it nearly impossible to say who would have won.
It's close, but I know I'm confident that I still would have won.
Amber's time is also incredibly impressive at 50 minutes and 15 seconds.
You beat Dad?
Yeah.
And Barry finishes with a time of 56 minutes and 10 seconds. Honestly, this family is super fit.
I'm overcoming obstacles on the course and in life.
And at the very end, Mariah ruthlessly beat Lydia. And they finished in 58 minutes and 36 seconds. But there's no agreement on whether Micah or Isaac won.
We'll never live it down. There's always gonna be an argument about who finished. So the only thing we can do is run it again.
After a commercial break, we are back in South Florida with Micah.
Veronica and I are doing really good. We're both staying incredibly busy.
And surprisingly, Veronica joins Micah on camera.
You're joining us? We'll see.
And she explains her decision.
I'd rather have memories in the moment, but to make memories with the family, you sort of have to be on camera at this point.
I find this reply interesting. It seems like no one is truly pressuring her to be on camera, but she's admitting it's more difficult than she would prefer to actively not be on camera. For example, she didn't go to the Spartan race to avoid being on camera. I guess it's just an unfortunate price you pay when you date and live with a guy who is on a reality TV show. Also, I've seen a few comments on people thinking Veronica looks like Olivia, and I do not see it at all. The interaction between Veronica and Micah is, I'll just say, interesting.
I feel like that kind of takes our relationship to the next level, you know?
That was the most forced thing I've ever heard you say.
Then they talk about how they're basically married.
We live together. We have 3 dogs together.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pretty good life.
Yep.
Then Veronica shares a sentence I can't even comprehend.
Actually, the first time I tried salsa was with the Plath family.
Veronica is about 2 years older than Micah, so that means she easily went 20 years without having salsa. That seems insane to me. Micah shares he also introduced her to ranch. That is incredibly wild.
Is marriage in your future?
We don't get much of an answer, so either these two are already married or someone is holding it up. There's no way they refer to the relationship as basically being married and haven't discussed a timeline on it. But that's episode 6. It was kind of nice having an entire episode without Kim. Episode 7 opens with Barry and Kim meeting in Tallahassee. Kim's week with the girls has come to an end, so now it's Barry's week. They also discuss how they're still not divorced yet.
The thing that's holding things up with a divorce is just how are we splitting up the pie.
And Kim shares her thoughts.
I don't feel like it's awkward when I see Barry because we know each other so well after 25 years, but it's not comfortable.
And then Barry brings up Ethan's divorce and how he's been trying to give him pointers to help him through it.
It wasn't a shock to me when the news hit, right? Because they were growing apart very much.
I agree with Barry. There wasn't all that much shock with the announcement of the divorce. Kim's response just confuses me.
But there were also things that I think we saw early on that we knew were not long-term sustainable.
I just find it funny how this couple that is actively in the divorce process can talk about how they knew their son's relationship, supposedly early on, had things that were not long-term sustainable and not see the role they played in that. And that brings me to a TikTok Olivia posted on September 1st, where she reflects on her relationship with Ethan.
We weren't even like talking like I am now with my partner. Like, we were writing letters back and forth, and we saw each other like maybe every other month. And before a year had passed, we were already engaged. There are still things that I am learning every day about my current partner, and vice versa, him learning about me.
I've mentioned many times that I got married young. I was 20 on our wedding day and he was 19. I do want to note that we started dating nearly 4 years before that. I know many people are heavily opposed to young marriages, and don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with a lot of the arguments against them. For me, it's been an amazing marriage, and I'm thankful for the 7.5 years I've spent loving him. In the same way I can't say young marriages are inherently bad, I also can't say courting or even just dating for a short period can't work out. They obviously do sometimes. But for me personally, I can't imagine marrying someone I've loved for under a year. But that wasn't the main point Olivia was getting at.
The audacity of his parents to be like, yeah, we just knew they weren't gonna make it. Like, there was issues. Bish. You're the one who carefully concocted and crafted that experience. Like, you're the one who made that experience what it was. You're the reason we didn't know each other. And by the way, you groomed me to marry your son and be in your family.
Ladies and gentlemen, she finally said it. Exactly. Kim is so willing to talk shit about Olivia, but is completely ignoring that she's the one who picked Olivia for Ethan. Kim, like Ethan, is just upset that Olivia grew up and changed from the systems and beliefs she was taught growing up. I'm loving this sassy, outspoken, and maybe a bit controversial version of Olivia.
I remember being told, yeah, I had a dream last night that you and my son were in an airplane and you went down and you both died. And I was, of course, sad that I lost him, but I was more sad that I lost you because you're almost my daughter. But like, yeah, we were never gonna make it. There was just so many issues.
Olivia also speaks to the comments referring to her as a feminist and woke.
I grew up in a world where women were expected to live life asleep and let everyone around them make decisions for them, and they were just supposed to coast on autopilot and not really have any thoughts. And like, I will take being awake every single damn day. Good luck trying to put me to sleep again.
I'll never understand the hatred for Olivia. I never will. But let's get back to what Kim and Barry are saying about Olivia.
You know, early on in their marriage, we didn't feel like it was gonna really be able to last.
But Kim finally stops talking her shit and tells Barry about how Ethan hugged her recently and how much that meant to her.
And she's been waiting with anticipation to just move forward with a good relationship.
And that's my problem with Kim. She wasn't digging up anything to try and figure out why their relationship got to where it was. She made Olivia the scapegoat and waited for Ethan to bounce from Olivia back to his mom. She literally waited in anticipation. I know Kim will never admit this if it's true, But I believe she resents Olivia because she wishes she could have been as brave as Olivia and leave her husband and go live the life she wants. But the scene switches to the Plath house in Cairo, where Micah, Lydia, Isaac, Ethan, and Amber are all at the kitchen island talking.
I really love being back here. I always have, ever since I left, because I never wanted to leave.
TLC was tricky with the framing of this next part.
Are you guys doing anything this Sunday evening?
What Sunday?
I don't know.
My birthday.
Oh, really? Really?
But the boys aren't as clueless as they pretend.
We're actually setting up like a surprise birthday party for her.
Micah then shares that he's a bit disappointed Veronica wasn't able to go to the Plath house this time.
She's agreed to go public for the sole purpose of spending more time with me and my family, and literally the first thing we do if she can't make it.
I'm not loving this relationship so far, but maybe it's just more awkward on camera than when they're actually together, privately or with friends. It's impossible to say. Back in LA, Olivia's hanging out at her apartment with Lily and Lily's dog. Olivia responds to the assumptions that she doesn't know how to cook or doesn't cook.
When's the last time you cooked a meal?
I can cook if I want to. And if I want to cook, I can do it damn well.
I don't know how that would surprise anyone. Of course Olivia can cook. Have you heard about how she was raised? The reason she stopped cooking is because it became a chore for her and not a joy. That makes sense to me. Olivia then shares the first date she went on and how quickly she learned she is very naive about dating. After talking about his cat all night, the guy asked Olivia if she'd like to come over and meet the cat. Poor Olivia didn't think that going to someone's place usually implies something.
I did meet his cat. She was very sweet. I saw her for all of like a minute.
Olivia mentioned spending the night and having a good time, but feeling incredibly self-conscious. That made her change her approach, and she has been solely dating long distance now. She still sees the people in person though, as she's still a traveling photographer. Olivia then shares she met a guy while she was working, and he acknowledged that her social media shows her as loving adventure, so he didn't want to take her on a fancy dinner date, but actually go do something.
And when a guy shows up seeing me for who I am and meets me right there,
it's clear she felt very seen in that moment, and I hope that's how her current relationship makes her feel every single day. I'm guessing she's talking about the relationship she is still in today, as she also lets the producer, or I guess the viewers, know that they're sexually compatible as well. All we really know about him right now is he lives on the East Coast, and they, as far as this episode is concerned, have not made it an exclusive relationship. I'm so happy for Olivia. Everyone deserves relationships that make them feel seen and heard, whether it be family, friendships, work relationships, or a partner. I also love how freely Olivia has been joking and making light of the things she struggled with for years and years.
Turn the lights down. That's at least one chore I don't have to do anymore.
Back in Cairo, it's Lydia's birthday, and she's going to church with Barry and the 3 younger girls. Ethan, Micah, Mariah, and Isaac are going to the restaurant to decorate for her surprise party. Kim will also be there, but she isn't bringing Ken. She wants to wait for everyone to be comfortable having him around.
It's like I can do whatever I want to do, and there's no like consequences or ramifications for any of my actions. It's literally up to me, whatever I want to do.
I find it so interesting that Ethan says things like this, but was also fighting to keep Olivia. I've never had to fear my actions would have consequences to my relationship or create unnecessary drama. No one should feel they have to tiptoe around or lie to their partner. If that's how Ethan felt throughout the relationship, it's obviously a good thing it ended. And this is the first event Barry and Kim are at with all the kids since splitting.
I appreciate both my parents being able to be together in the same place and be civil even though they're not together anymore.
But just before Lydia's surprised, the show cuts back to LA with Olivia. In the last episode, when Olivia and Lydia Grace were at the bar, Lydia was telling the guys she wasn't that into that her name is Jackie. This led to Olivia and her creating alter egos, and Lydia named Olivia Larissa.
So I've ordered a bunch of cheap wigs, and we'll see which ones best suit our personalities, our alter egos.
The red is, it's a lot.
Hello, Jackie.
Larissa, do tell.
Olivia shares a story of when she did her makeup in a way she thought Ethan would like and then asked him if he thought she looked pretty.
I remember he looked at me for like a really long second, and then he just goes, "You have 11 piercings on your head."
So now she's realizing those things affected her more than she realized in the moment and is working on body positivity and self-love. I must say, I am loving these wigs on them.
I can't take you seriously because I can't see your eyes.
I can't either. But now it's time to surprise Lydia back in Cairo.
I was very shocked. I had no idea.
Then Barry shares what I thought was a funny story, especially now that it's been 20 years, of Lydia getting stuck in the birth canal. This was discovered after Kim was in labor for over 12 hours.
I was horrified that Barry was sharing Lydia's birth story. One, it sounded like he was taking credit for it.
Listen, I am all for shutting down a man who makes a pregnancy or birth about him, but his retelling was about Lydia. Just because he wasn't the one in labor, he was there. If anything, I would guess men can probably remember the birth stories better than the women giving birth. That's completely a guess, though.
When Lydia was born, Kim actually bit me on my thigh and left bruise marks and teeth marks.
It doesn't sound like the birth story was pleasant for either of them. But now it's time for presents. Lydia loves Barry's present, but if you're like me, you'll need some context first. Although it's a well-quoted movie, I've never seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Here is the scene Barry is referencing.
Well, what is it you want? We want a shrubbery!
And here's Barry's gift.
I have brought you a shrubbery!
I don't get it, but the family loves that movie and Lydia loves the gift.
This is a gift I'm gonna remember forever, even though it's just some shrubberies.
Then Kim and Amber got her an electric violin.
I've been wanting one like this for a long time.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Then for the final surprise, Kim got a dunk tank and volunteered as the donkey. It's a good thing they didn't let their kids play sports.
Oh shoot, what was that?
I'm asking the same question. My goodness. Thankfully, his second throw is much better.
How to do this?
This scene was so awkward to me because the kids seemed so determined to get Kim in the cold water. I really don't understand everyone's relationship with Kim because her birthday just passed on August 30th and only Micah made a social media post about it. Also, putting happy birthday Kim instead of mom makes me feel like Ken got the cake. Anyways, episode 8 starts in South Florida with Micah and Veronica shares what she loves about Micah.
First, I call it golden retriever energy. Like, I love his personality, his being, how he enters a room, his outlook on life.
And Micah shares what he loves about Veronica.
I love her work ethic. I find that very, very attractive, but she's a little bougier than I am.
I also discovered they made a joint account, but made the username veronica.plath. This relationship confuses me greatly. And my confusion gets worse when Veronica says this about their second date.
He chucked me in and I was like, who is this guy?
I didn't chuck
you did. It was a little pond in the middle. You threw me in.
I didn't throw you in. I probably walked in there with you.
Their interactions are truly so odd. Why is Micah so defensive?
Take your glasses off.
I can't see.
You're pretty without your glasses.
I can't see.
Yeah, I don't like this relationship. Sorry, but what does "you're pretty without your glasses" mean? Please nobody say that to me. They might call it playful banter, but it just seems so odd. I mean, this is Micah's reply when the producer asks if they're in love.
I think we're in real love. It's not all bliss, but we love each other.
Like, yes, okay, but why not just answer an enthusiastic yes when asked the question? Let's check on Olivia in LA. Lydia Grace is still in town and they decided to spend the day on a farm. They grew up on a farm and Olivia admits she's missed it over the years. She also admits she was scared to share this with Ethan, as she feared he would hear that as her saying she wants to live in Cairo forever, have 10 kids, and homeschool them and give them the childhood that she and Ethan had.
I really miss nature and animals and the farm, and I really miss that hard work, and I don't want the life that I grew up in.
Olivia also shares something I know she's not alone in when growing up in purity culture.
I remember being a teenager and thinking I could get pregnant if I was literally like sitting too close to a guy.
While it wasn't into my teenage years, I thought you got pregnant by being married and praying to God. I had no idea how accidental pregnancies were happening, but I would sometimes be praying in my head and randomly ask to be pregnant, and then was terrified it would happen. Thankfully, my mom did give me the sex talk, so that cleared up my confusion greatly. Olivia also says that she no longer believes that it's her job as the woman to solely make sure that the man is pleased. I'm sad to hear that's how her marriage with Ethan went, as they were both taught the same thing. Her new partner has allowed her space to figure out what she likes and wants. Back at the Plath farm, Ethan is hanging out with the 3 younger siblings. He shares that one of his favorite memories at the farm was him and Olivia getting married there.
And that's still in my memory, just such a beautiful day.
Pretty wild how Olivia's opinion is that Kim hijacked the wedding planning and Olivia didn't get the wedding she wanted. But then Ethan finally addressed his cooking 3 meals a day moment.
I was not saying in any way that every woman in the world should be in the kitchen cooking 3 meals a day. That's not at all what I meant.
Not every woman, but Olivia or your wife? Ethan explains that Olivia cooking for him early in the marriage made him feel loved and cared for, and he felt his share was fixing things that needed to be fixed, including her car.
But by the time I said that, she hadn't cooked a meal in 2 years.
While I can completely see why that would make him feel like she didn't care about him, a conversation about it probably would have helped. Instead of saying that food is a way to a man's heart, he could have said, Olivia, you're an amazing cook, and I feel so loved when you make food for me. I want to be better at not making cooking seem like a chore, but something you want to do for me, in the same way I fix broken things around the house. He also could have, I don't know, learned how to cook, but we saw how well he made pancakes, so maybe not. But the reality is, Olivia and Ethan didn't know how to communicate with one another, and resentment just built and built. Then Ethan shares why he thinks Olivia and his parents could not get along.
Olivia hated the way that she grew up with her family. At the end of the day, was rewriting everything for herself.
Yeah, but she also saw the issues she had with her family in your family. Don't make it sound like she made things up. Yes, she was incredibly negative, and her boundaries were hard and didn't allow much room for anyone to grow. But it's not like Kim and her were enemies from day one. I don't know if this is exactly the correct term, but it seems Ethan has Stockholm Syndrome.
I feel like my childhood was mostly good, and I would totally move back to Cairo at some point.
And yet, he's confused why Olivia and him didn't work out. What a puzzle Ethan Plath is. Now, let's go back to LA to see Olivia and Lydia Grace at the farm. The girls have been debating who is better at milking a cow, and so they're ready to finally figure it out.
May the best woman win. So on the 2 buckets, there's like a line inside of these buckets. It's whoever gets to the line on that bucket first.
And Olivia comes out on top.
You definitely won, and I will give you that. I really don't care.
What I love about this moment for the girls is they're showing you don't have to do one or the other when it comes to being a girl that loves cows and farm life, but also wants to live in a city. Olivia found a way to do both, and in a way she enjoys. But now we transition to a strawberry festival in Florida with Mariah. She is with Sydney, a friend she made at her recording studio.
I love teaching Mariah new things, taking her to do new experiences.
I'm not sure what their age difference is, but it's starting to feel like Mariah may have found herself a new older sister or, Olivia replacement. Anyways, they get to talking about Mariah's latest breakup, and it seems Mariah falls in love fast with the wrong men.
The man that I thought I knew was everything I ever wanted and more, and would never, ever do what he did.
Mariah and the voice. Gosh, the voice. This soft, fragile voice can be so common in fundamentalist families. Michelle Duggar is a great example. However, Mariah mostly only uses it during interviews when she seems to want everyone's sympathy. It definitely feels fake to me. And Mariah isn't just being vulnerable to be vulnerable. She uses this as a transition to talk about her new song.
That's what one of my songs, Undeserving, talks about.
Yeah. That reminds me, all of her posts have been deleted off of Instagram, so I think she's going to do a drastic change with this new album. And now to South Florida with Micah and Will. It seems like Will lives in Florida, but I'm pretty sure he still lives in LA. Micah talks about how the first time Will met Veronica, he saw Micah and her fighting, and Micah's own words reflecting on it were, "Little do you know, that was a small one." So it seems they might argue a lot.
It's a lot of work. Because in the beginning, everything's bliss, you know?
I'll always find it interesting when couples say their relationship takes a lot of work. Because, yeah, even non-romantic relationships take work. But the word work just throws me off. I want my husband to feel seen, heard, and loved. I want to be a better person for him. And I know he wants all of that for me. It's the love that makes it not actually feel like work. I don't know. Ultimately, it sounds like Veronica is insecure and controlling, but we haven't seen a lot of her, so who knows? This next comment from Micah is also not something I fully understand.
There are definitely some things I miss about, being a little more free.
Everyone keeps talking about how shocked they are Micah has settled down, but it really doesn't feel like he's 100% committed. This relationship is so odd to me.
I am, very adventurous and very free-spirited.
But she's the first girl that's meant this much to me.
Back at Olivia's in LA, they're having a game night with a sex educator named Jocelyn.
A little bit of wine helps the sex ed go down a little bit better.
Okay. Now, the friends Olivia has invited originally shocked me. I wasn't expecting them.
Okay, so Micah, do you guys still talk to him or no?
I haven't heard from him in ages.
While some people accuse Hayden and Capiche of being actors for the show, I think Olivia met them through Micah and they hit it off, maybe. I also think this show has been an opportunity for them to get themselves on TV, obviously. Also, Hayden is still dating Amanda, and she's also there. But I'm not the only one with female sex products.
I feel like this is a magic bag, like you're gonna keep pulling stuff out that we're unexpecting.
Exactly.
And then they start the class.
So we're gonna be starting with an anatomy pop quiz. Okay.
I know this.
Okay.
Okay, maybe these are just actors because this is the reaction to Amanda talking about how uncomfortable Capiche was talking about sex.
How uncomfortable was he?
I feel like he was very uncomfortable.
You think you could help him?
Oh my God.
It probably doesn't help that this show feels more and more scripted every episode. But it's clear everyone had fun, and these conversations are incredibly important to have.
What currently holds you back from being fully present and engaging in your sexual expression? The lack of men. No, I'm just kidding.
They also talk about how asking new partners about their sexual preferences can be seen as taboo or shallow, and how unfortunate that is, as sex can become such a big and important part of a relationship. Olivia brings up her new partner and how he is the first person post-divorce that she opened up with about her past and feels like he was so understanding. She shares a goal she has.
Yeah, I guess own my sexuality more and become more educated and not feel so ashamed moving forward.
And we finally learned this mystery guy's name is Brendan.
Do you plan on seeing this Brendan again?
I think I'll see this Brendan again.
And that concludes episode 8. I must say, I truly do only enjoy Olivia's story in this show now. It's so interesting how everyone keeps saying she's the negative one, but the Plaths stories are so mopey, while Olivia's are always full of giggles. There's nothing wrong with going through it, but them blaming everything on Olivia is exhausting to watch. Also, I mentioned Jen, or Fundie Fridays, in my Duggar documentary video, but she just made a 70-minute video on Welcome to Plathville. Like me, Jen is heavily biased towards Olivia and actually knows her personally because Olivia took her wedding photos. I mentioned before that the Plaths were upset when people were saying they were part of the IBLP, Institute in Basic Life Principles. But as Jen points out, even if they aren't exactly IBLP, they keep the company of prominent members.
The Plaths sent their kids to at least one No Greater Joy Ministries conference, and we know this because none other than Jill Rodriguez herself documented it. I know, the Fundie Fridays cinematic universe strikes again. Rodriguez considers herself a friend of Kim's, although I'm not so sure how Kim feels by looking at this uncomfortable picture.
Jen also mentions that the kids used to sell their homegrown produce as well as t-shirts and CDs for their band. I didn't know that. But I mainly bring up Jen's video because she says something that I think is incredibly important, and I want to be clear that I agree with. Everyone on this show is a real and complex person. They all deserve the right to try and change. We can only hope they do. So yeah, absolutely check out Jen's video. And that's all I have for today. Remember, you can have good memories with bad people. Thanks for watching and have an amazing week. Bye.